Good morning and thank you for coming. A few weeks ago, I drew the first ballot for private members' business. And with that first slot, I'm going to table a motion today that addresses the cynicism that currently plagues our democracy. With fewer than 50% of voters choosing to vote in the past election, it is incumbent upon us in this 40th Parliament to stem the tide of voter discontent. That's why I will move a motion that will force the government to table a specific and detailed plan for hospital expansions. Ontarians are tired of governments who do not keep the promises they make, and we will hold them to account. The motion will ask Dalton McGuinty and the Ontario Liberal government to submit to the legislature a detailed plan that outlines the costs, a timeline for completion, and how the government plans to pay for the construction and operation of all hospital expansion projects promised before and during the 2011 Ontario general election. They must tell us what taxes are going to be raised and what spending cuts they are willing to make to ensure that Ontarians get the health care they both need and want. In my riding of Cambridge, there have been several announcements and groundbreaking ceremonies for Cambridge Memorial Hospital, but we're still without a hospital expansion on a project that was supposed to begin in 2005. Unfortunately, the example in my riding is not unique. Announcements keep happening just weeks before an election in an attempt to save or gain seats for the Liberals. Fortunately, the McGuinty Liberals failed in many cases. The reason for their failure is simple. People are tired of governments who play politics with their health care. Health care decisions must be based on need rather than how people vote, and this is what this motion addresses. Funding for an expansion at Cambridge Memorial Hospital is just one example of Dalton McGuinty's many broken promises. It is time for McGuinty to be held accountable for the promises that he has made in the most recent provincial election. We have seen far too many instances with this premier where he makes promises leading up to and during a campaign and then backs away from them afterwards. The Ontario PC Party, led by Tim Hudak, will keep this government on a short leash. In addition to the Cambridge announcement, between April and September of this year, the McGuinty Liberals held about 24 other hospital expansion project announcements. I want to believe that the government will follow through with its commitments, but I simply can't. There are many reasons for the skepticism. We have a $16 billion deficit. The Drummond Commission is likely to ask for the Ontario government to curb growth in health spending, and the McGuinty Liberals have a history of cancelling half-built infrastructure projects. Now, if they can cancel a half-built power plant in Mississauga, what will stop them from cancelling a hospital project that doesn't even have a shovel in the ground? This is why I'm asking my colleagues from all parties to join me today in supporting this motion. It is clear that voters expect their politicians to keep their promises. What isn't clear is how the Premier plans to pay for all these projects and how he's going to afford these promises. It's time for Premier McGuinty to come clean today. He must tell voters how he intends to keep his promises, or he must tell voters why he is voting against our hospitals, including Cambridge Memorial. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce my colleague, Elizabeth Witmer, the Progressive Conservative critic for health and long-term care, and following that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Rob, and I want to begin by thanking Rob Leone, the newly elected member of Provincial Parliament for Cambridge, for bringing this resolution forward to hold the government accountable for the hospital infrastructure election promises that it has made. As he has already said, in the 5-month period before the election, the Liberal government announced about 22 separate hospital expansion projects in a bid to win and save Liberal seats. These announcements amount to over $2.2 billion in capital expenditures. It should be noted that of the 22 commitments announced, only 17 actually included any figures on capital costs. But the McGuinty government has demonstrated many times before that they are not prepared to honor the commitments that they have made, and they have broken many of their promises. A good example of this is Cambridge Hospital in Mr. Leone's riding. And I have with me today an article by Cambridge Now, which was written on October the 29th, 2007. The headline reads, "Let the digging begin at Cambridge Memorial Hospital. There was singing and dancing at the CMH groundbreaking. The article goes on to say, CMH will soon be the site of a major operation as it begins construction on a $39.1 million expansion that, by 2010, will house the newest in medical technology. This article appeared 4 years ago. I was at that groundbreaking, as I had been at announcements before that had also ended up with no new hospital expansion. Up until now, nothing has happened. And then, on July the 28th of this year, Miss Matthews, our Minister of Health, came back, and there was another groundbreaking, and she said construction was going to begin September the 11th. But I think at that time people had become somewhat suspicious, and they continue to be today. So what has occurred in Cambridge is yet another example of what has and continues to occur throughout the entire province of Ontario. The Liberal government likes to make grand announcements, usually without any funding commitment, details, or timelines, in an effort to buy your votes, and then subsequently breaks its promise. We've seen this play out in communities across Ontario. We in the caucus, PC caucus, and our leader, Tim Hudak, believe that the people of Ontario deserve better. They deserve a government that keeps its promises, delivers on its commitments, and doesn't play politics with people's health. Today, I join my colleague in asking this House to hold the McGuinty government accountable for its pre-election announcements. The residents of these communities were told that either a hospital expansion or a new facility is on the way. We believe the government owes these people and our province a thorough plan and an update on the development, the costs, and the future operational expenses associated with these commitments. This is what the resolution seeks to accomplish. Again, I want to commend and thank the member for Cambridge for the hard work on this issue, and I would ask that all those in this House support his resolution today.
Any questions? Well, thank you very much.